Welcome to the Good Karma Sportfishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet.
And welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, good morning.
It's going to be August 1st on Monday.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Summer has flown by.
I know. Summer has definitely
Oh my
flown
gosh.
by.
It's already over.
Mini lobster season is over.
Yep. That's usually the signal for me that summer is basically come to an end despite it being August. Usually mini lobster season is kind of my kickstart into my fall season.
Yeah,
So,
it's like kind of like almost like the last hurrah.
yeah,
in a way.
The last hurrah of the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, now all the kiddies have to go back to school.
Yeah, most of the kids go back to school here and within the next 2 weeks, and we're into a Keys fall.
Yeah. So I thought we'd talk about today, that we're halfway through the year, and I love to take like a moment every now and again to appreciate and feel good, and even if you want to use the word proud, about how you've evolved or changed or what you've accomplished in the past year in time, right? And there's a very famous quote. Many of you out there have probably heard this before. And I know various other experts and coaches have taken this quote and twisted it around, which is all fine. It's all good. I've done it myself. But I think is Bill Gates who said people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, but underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. But I think that quote, even though I do like it, kind of takes away the fact of what you can accomplish in a year, and to take a moment and celebrate that and feel really good about it.
Yes.
And it's really great to do that, whenever you feel like it, but at least at the halfway year mark to think about that. And I know Sienna next week, she and I are going to be talking about that on our monthly podcast together that we do, because it'll be a year since she and I started podcasting together. But I thought it'd be fun if you and I kind of talked about that a little bit too, especially in regards to one big topic that I think is going to come up. And then if everyone out there kind of just takes a little time this weekend or whenever you're listening to this podcast to think about that too. What have you accomplished in this last year, and how do you feel about that? So what do you think?
No, I think that's great. I think it kind of segues in what's happening right now, present day in the fishing world with the mahi-mahi no-show. And
I feel like every year, though, there's all these hubbubs, like, is the mahi here? Is the mahi not here? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, we've seen the writing
it's like
on
Chicken Little, like, running around the street,
It's actually...
We've got chickens,
It's actually pretty... It's actually gotten quite old, so...
It is. It's, like, old and tired.
It's old and tiring.
But I think it's something for people to talk about on those programs.
Yeah, people to talk about on the fishing shows, and people just to talk about in general. I have mentioned this. This is for those people that have been following me for many years and know about how my fishing has evolved. I've seen the writing on the walls over 6-7 years ago when the dolphin didn't make their appearance after the first I think it was the first El Nino, and it's been like that now for 7 years. Explosion of sargassum grass. So this is nothing new, and yeah, we'll have good pushes, and they're gone. It is what it is. Like it or love it, and learn to live with it. That's what I adapted, and
right.
I started doing that many years ago.
Right. So you started working on, from seeing the signs, from seeing the patterns.
Yep.
Working on, what can I do instead? Right.
Right. What can I do instead, and what can I do as far as not taking that business of people wanting to go dolphin fishing?
Yeah, that's true too.
And I stood my ground, and I'm very, I was listening to a fishing report this morning, like a 30-plus year captain, and the tone in his voice was like, he said, yeah, we're just going to go out and do our part and go look for dolphin. Then probably go do something else. So the tone in his voice was, I don't want to go, but I don't got no choice. That's what it sounded like. So I'm like,
was it from pressure from clients?
Probably pressure from clients.
Aw.
So you feel bad.
Right, totally.
For that. And you have pressure from clients to go catch mahi. And then you got to take the business because you need to pay your bills. So it's really kind of a shitty situation. And clients just don't want to hear that there's no dolphin because they don't understand, because back in 1995 when they were here with their granddad, we caught 50 dolphin in a matter of an hour down in Marathon, Florida. So,
but if you do go out, what's the really important thing to make sure you have in check? Yeah,
you should have in check that, number one, when you go out, you should have in check that you should have your mindset that you're going to go have a great day.
Yes, exactly.
And good things will happen.
Exactly.
So
your mindset.
Your mindset. And I want to tell you that I've taken some people fishing this year, and we've caught dolphin. Like, they've swam up to the boat. They were like, we didn't expect to catch them. Because we were just going out there to have a good time.
Yay!
And we caught a whole bunch of dolphin. And
Yay!
It was like, and then once we started catching,
get back to basics, people.
It's funny,
have fun.
Once we started catching them, it's like, well, this is it. This is all we're doing. This is how they bite. And I was like, I would say, okay, let's go back to bottom fishing. They would tell me. Okay, let's go back to bottom fishing. We've had enough. So it's like, okay. So it's just, I've had that happen several times. I remember being offshore back in the day, catching like beautiful gaffers. And the clients would look at me, it's like, hey, can we go in and catch some mutton snappers and some groupers? And we're offshore 850 foot, catching big gaffers. And they looked at me, it's like, this is it? And I was like, this is how we do it. And it's like, can we go in and catch some groupers and stuff, some bottom fish? And I was like, so, I mean, that's stuff that went on quite frequently. Almost every offshore trip I had, that was the common thing that would happen with folks. So it's just amazing.
So one of the things, the important piece here is that mindset. And mindset is something that you can write down if you are making this list of all that you have accomplished in the past year. Is if you have been working on your mindset and your attitude and your belief system, that is like a huge win. And we often don't track that enough as we set our quote unquote goals. I'm not the biggest fan of the word goals anymore. However, I do still use it, I'll be honest, but I don't get all like crazy psycho about goals anymore. Like, I just don't believe in that mindset. I really just don't. But it's really like, so you can just celebrate that so much. If you're like, oh my gosh, I worked through some different mindset challenges that I have had over the past year. And I know Ryan and I both have. And then it's fun to see that play out like in charters with his clients.
Yeah. I've seen a huge shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a huge shift. Shift something to have fun versus like being super competitive and, oh my gosh, I've got to get that. I've got to get that lobster, whatever. Like, just have fun and things will flow like so much easier.
Yep.
You'll just be having like a really awesome time in the process.
Yeah. And like, you have to, like, if you're booking a trip, you have to realize is that the captain, if his vibe, the captain's got to be in the right vibe. If he's not in the right vibe, and in the not right mind, because you've kind of, it's one of those things that you may not catch much.
Yep. And that's actually, to use that word, that is something that I've dialed in on a lot in the past year, I would say, is if I'm looking into something and I don't believe the other people or person has the right vibe, like what I'm looking for, what resonates with me, where my intuition feels good, I'm like moving on. And in the past, I would say that I probably used to let my humanness like take over and be like, oh no, I really need to do that. And I really need to listen to that person. or I really need to join that thing because so-and-so said I should do that. Like, I'm like, no, done. Took my power back. And it's such a freeing experience. And that is really what confidence is about, is taking your power back and doing what you know feels good and you know what feels best without listening to others. And that has been like a huge shift for me in the past year. So really, really, really huge shifts. So I love that you said the word vibe, because I had something yesterday morning where I was like, God, not feeling the vibe here. Not feeling the vibe here. So it's like, nope, this is a no. I'm closing this chapter of something I was looking into and I'm moving on. So that was a huge win.
Yep.
Something on the more tactical left brain piece is blogging. You started blogging this year.
Yeah, I started blogging this year. I used to do a lot of writing a long time ago, but I kind of got back to that a little bit. I do enjoy the write. And I've got a few blogs up there too. One of them is about the dolphin migration, and the theories about why there's no dolphin. So it's called the blog's called How to Catch Mahi Mahi. So you can go to the front page of my blog, and then you can go through there. It explains all the current tracks based on tagging studies and the scientific theory about why all of a sudden the dolphin migration's off. So there's science behind all this, guys. It's not that they just haven't disappeared. So you'll have to if you really want to get an insight on things, you need to learn how these fish move throughout the Atlantic Ocean. You'll have to learn how they move through the Caribbean and what's blocking them, what's happening. How are the currents now? The guys that are out there a lot know that the current's been kind of weird. So this year. So just keep that stuff in mind. So go to my site and you can read through the blog. And also too, I have another new blog I just released this morning called How to Start a Slow Pitch Jig Business.
Yeah. Because Ryan's like, we should start to share some of these tips and learnings that we have from being entrepreneurs all these years. So that was people tend to forget some of the things that we've done over the years. So when Ryan had that idea to write that blog, I was like, oh, that's such a great idea. It would really help others out there too. So
yeah. So if you want to get into the lure making business or the lure business, and I just released a blog this morning, and hand tying lures and all that stuff, there's so much cost involved with it. So I give you what's the best way to do it to make money. Make money.
Yeah, and that's even just a small part of it, because it's not even sharing what my involvement was in that business, and then also all the social media and influencer work we did with that. Yeah. So it'll be a series. I think you put that at the bottom.
Yeah, it's just going to be a series.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, so if you're really wanting to start a jig business, and a lot of people do, a lot of people want to start a small fishing business. So I'll show you how to do it. So and it can be anything. It can be knives. It can be shirts. It can be all that stuff without going through the hassles. It's trust me on this one. So
yeah. So that was cool. And it's my 1-year anniversary of Life and Love Lessons, How to Discover Confidence Through Your Spiritual Journey. And when I think about that whole amazing journey of that book, that book, by me going to the Miami Book Fair, which I then did in November, opened up a door with a consulting client that I worked with from January through April. And, that was a huge piece of my year. And when I think about it, I feel like things happened so long ago, but really that was within the year. Right? And I could go on and on and on. There are so many magical things that have happened for me in this past year, learning and, following the breadcrumbs. And these are stories that I'll be sharing in the new book that I'm working on with my niece, Sienna, Life and Love Lessons 2, which will come out in the fall, hopefully, if we get it all together. But so lots going on. So I hope that people just really kind of take a moment. I think it's so important. And this is a lesson that I have had to learn. I was so busy always my whole life going on autopilot, being a 3-5 human design generator, pure generator, an Aries, just very driven. And you know what? The universe does not know time, people. So just, take a moment once in a while and just celebrate and be proud of what you're accomplishing and reflect on that.
Yep.
We don't do that enough. We get so caught up in listening to someone else say, you need to do this next, and you need to do that next, and did you work hard enough, and did you do that, and did you do that? And and honestly, it doesn't really all matter. Just make sure you're working at the pace that you feel good at, and having some fun along the way.
Right. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything
work more
else?
Independently.
Yeah, work more independently. Feel good. And that's what I help people on as a private one-on-one coach. And because I've learned myself, I walk the walk. I have learned this myself, and it's just so important and just really helps you feel better. And, and then it's kind of amazing. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Ryan?
No, I think that's it for me today.
Yeah. Are you excited to get back to fishing? This week was windy, to say it very
it was a rough week.
Bluntly.
Yeah, I don't believe in putting clients through total hell.
No.
So
I think you had a lot of grateful clients.
I had extremely grateful clients that I was very honest with people about the weather. And the people were extremely grateful and then the text messages I got from people were like, thank you for not taking us out. Most guys would. And we probably wouldn't have caught anything, and it would have been an expensive day for us. So we're on vacation. And one guy was like, we budgeted our money. I'm very grateful for not taking us out there and beating us up.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people save up their money to go, and if it's really bad for them, they have a bad experience. When the weather's nice, you can put together a catch. You have time to run around and stuff. And if the client's in it to win it, you go the extra distance for them. But when it's rough, they don't have fun, and at the end of the day, you're getting paid, and they have a bad experience, so they don't come back.
Yeah.
So they won't come back.
Yeah. People, if I have I have many requests in this world, but one is if people just get out of their own ego in regards to the weather, and it's fascinating. We have super, super, super tall palm trees, crazy tall palm trees. So we have to have a climber come. And we've had this same climber come for years, super nice guy. And he went to come on Thursday, and he arrived at the house, but he told me, he's like, I can't climb the trees today because of the wind. And I was like, okay, totally get it. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And we looked at the trees, and on the ground, it didn't seem that windy. But when we looked at the trees at the top, you could tell they were blowing. And literally, he's climbing the trees with a chainsaw and to get the palm fronds that are older and the coconuts. And he has to deal with snakes, iguanas, scorpions, bees, rats. All of that lives in the top of your palm trees. I'm not joking. That shit lives up there. So, so I didn't give him one iota of a hard time at all. I'm like, no problem, you come back tomorrow. So he proceeded to tell me how people give him a hard time when he has to cancel because of the weather. And it, obviously I understood that from the charter business, but it really was just eye-opening how people are so insensitive to that. I mean, he could die. He could fall off the tree. And then he started to tell me about a story he had with a customer the day before, and the customer was insistent, and he almost got electrocuted by the power lines. And he's like, I'll never go back to that person again. I'm like, I wouldn't either. So just ask for a little bit of kindness and compassion out there for people, and, stop with the expectations. The expectations of people and what's going on in this world are out of control. So just have some kindness and love and compassion. It'll go so much farther than you demanding something from someone, whether it's a charter boat captain, whether it's your lawn guy, someone else, someone at the grocery store, someone at the gas station. Like, kindness and compassion will always serve you in the long run, and gratitude. So many businesses are not saying thank you. It's like unbelievable. That's a whole other topic. But, just those things will serve you so much more in the long run. So if you're not someone that's been doing that, as you reflect on your year, be like, am I someone that says thank you when I get an order? Like, if you're not that person, like, add that to the list of things to like add into your life. Like, we all should be looking at our lives and being like, okay, what are some little tweaks, some little energetic tweaks that I can do to have a more successful life and business? And that's just like one small thing that should be natural for people, but unfortunately it is not happening. So I'm giving my little soapbox here.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. All right, we're going to wrap it up.
That's it, guys. You guys have a good weekend, and I hope that the wind lays down for you guys that are down here in the Keys and get out and do a little fishing. But that's all I got.
Yep. And
remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.
Thanks for listening.